Hey gardeners, Amy here with Garden Up. Today is, I don't know, the end of February sometime, but look at the sun! Oh my goodness! So I couldn't wait to get outside. The sun is calling my name, and if you're anything like me, pent up inside all winter, you're probably itching to get outside too. So today I'm going to talk about 17 things that you can do in your garden right now, and then 5 things that you should still avoid. So we've all been pent up inside all winter. We're over it. We've got cabin fever. You've probably already planned your garden. You've probably gone through all the seed catalogs. You've probably bought more seeds than is financially responsible or that you have room to actually plant. But that's beside the point. A beautiful sunny day like this, it's just too good of an opportunity to pass up. I want to get outside. What can I do in my garden? So even though it's so early, I want to talk about a few ideas for things that you can do outside right now. So put on your gardening gloves, put your latex glove on underneath to keep warm and dry, and let's get outside. 17 things you can do in your gardens right now. Ready? Number 1, inspect and assess for winter damage. Literally walk around your garden with a notepad and take note of anything that was damaged in the winter. Look for damage to trees, fallen or broken branches, or damaged branches that need to be pruned out. Check your hardscape for anything that needs to be repaired or replaced. Look at fences, same thing. Now's a great time to repair fences. And then you can also make a list of like beds that need to be cleaned out so that when the time is right for those things, you can get those done. Next, organize, clean, and sharpen your tools. Get a head start on that spring task right now by cleaning out your tool shed, sharpening your pruners and loppers, getting all that stuff done, and then you don't have to worry about it later. You can also make a list of things that you need to go purchase so you can get that done ahead of time and be ready for the season. Number 3, rake your lawn. Right now is a great time because it's so unseasonably warm. The lawn is going to start waking up. So you might as well give it a good rake. That'll take care of the snow mold that's growing on the old leaves from last year. You know, it gets all matted down and gross. That's snow mold. Go ahead and rake that out of there and just get it gone. It'll also get the air and the light down onto the base of the plants, which is what is needed for your lawn to come up nice and healthy for the new year. So go ahead and rake. And also, as a side note, if you're considering seeding any kind of lawn alternative or ground cover, go ahead and do that. Do it right now. This is the perfect weather window to get that done. You'll want to mow really low and aerate and rake. So if you're going to cut the sod, I would actually wait on that project because I always recommend that you cut the sod, water it, wait, weed out any roots that you missed, and then put in your new ground cover. So wait if you're going to cut the sod, but if you're just going to overseed, do it now. It's a perfect time. Number 4, weed. Weed your garden. Why not? If you've got weeds, they're only going to get bigger between now and spring, so why don't you go ahead and get a head start on that and get those out of there now. You'll save yourself so much trouble later. Just get it done. Number 5, uncover emerging bulbs. So these are the bulbs that you planted last fall. They're starting to poke up now. If they're covered with leaves, they won't be able to get through that mat of leaves, so you'll want to uncover them so that they can start photosynthesizing. Number 6, plant your summer bulbs that get planted in the spring. So, you know, I don't know about you guys, but I went to Costco the other day and may or may not have come home with far more bulbs than I know what to do with. Why not? Go ahead and plant them. Get them in the ground right now. It's a perfect time for those kinds of things. Most of these bulbs are hardy for our winters, so it won't hurt to get them in the ground a little early. They just usually get planted in the spring. So go ahead and put those in the ground right now. I have videos on all this stuff already, by the way, so I'll link them all in the description below. This one in particular is especially cute because Lily helped me plant lilies a few years back and we got a whole video on it. It's adorable. You should watch that next. Number 7, plant certain cool season crops as well as direct sow your native seeds. So depending on your area, and I'm not going to get into detail about this because every area is different, you may be able to plant certain cool season vegetables right now. You'll want to be prepared to cover them if it gets too cold. And maybe don't plant them in the ground, maybe just start hardening them off. I don't know. Again, every area is different, every vegetable's different. I'm actually not a vegetable gardener, so I don't know as much as I should about that, but I know that certain plants can go in the ground right now. And also, you can direct sow your natives into the ground. If you want native seeds, go ahead and get them in the ground. Things like asters and goldenrod and echinacea and liatris and all these beautiful plants that bloom all summer can be seeded right now. Just throw them in the ground and you don't have to think about anything. It'll germinate and grow right where you throw it. As a side note, one plant that I hope that every gardener everywhere will plant is milkweed. And that is because milkweed is the species of plant that monarch butterflies have to have in order to complete their life cycle. It is the only plant that the caterpillars can eat. And so one of the reasons that the monarch's population keeps declining is because of the lack of milkweed that they have available to eat. So let's fix that problem. If you would like some milkweed for your garden, I will send you a pack right away. All I ask in return for these seeds is three things. One, I ask that you plant the seeds where the butterflies can find them, because that's the whole point. Two, I ask that you take care of the plants without the use of pesticides, because if you put any kind of herbicide or insecticide on these plants, you'll likely harm the monarchs, and that's kind of the opposite of what we're going for here. And three, I ask that you subscribe to my channel. So if you haven't already done so, please hit the subscribe button. And if you would like your free seeds, check the description below. I'm setting up a page on my website that all it asks for is that you agree to those three things and your name and your mailing address. And I will send you a free pack of seeds. I'm still doing this by hand. I won't sell your information, nothing like that. I just need your address because I need some place to send the seeds. That's it. So if you'd like your free seeds, check the description below and fill out that form. I will send you a pack right away, and thank you so much for doing your part to help monarch butterflies. Number 8, clean up trash and any things that have blown into your yard or blown out of place. Now's a great time to get that task done. Number 9, edge the beds. You could totally edge the beds right now, especially if you have like any place where there's a lawn abutting a bed without a barrier in between. That lawn, especially if it's a grass, has spent all winter creeping those roots into your flower beds, and they're gonna come up. This is also a great excuse to widen the beds, by the way. So take care of that now with a fresh edge. All you need is a shovel and your foot. Just edge the whole bed, get that task out of the way, and save yourself a whole bunch of headache later. I don't know about you guys, but I'm running out of planting space. So this seems like an opportunity too good to pass up. I'm edging the beds just a little wider than they used to be. I wonder if my husband will notice. Nothing makes a garden look fresh and clean faster than a fresh, clean edge. Number 10, cut back your ornamental grasses. So those really tall, beautiful grasses need to be cut down every spring because you've got to get the old growth out of the way so the new growth can emerge. Otherwise it tends to get stunted after a few years. So they need to be cut down sometime in the winter, whether it be in the fall or in the spring. So if you haven't done that in the fall, go ahead and get that done right now. It's not going to hurt anything. I am not an expert on this yet, but I don't know of any pollinators or critters that overwinter in the grass blades or leaves or anything. So I don't think you'll be doing any harm by cutting those down now. And if you are worried about it, cut them down and just leave them. But get the actual cut done. That gets that out of the way. Number 11 is prune certain trees and shrubs. You can always cut out any dead or damaged limbs. Anything that needs to come out, go ahead and cut it out. You're not going to hurt anything by doing that now. But you can also prune fruit trees, and you can prune anything that doesn't bloom on old wood. Okay, so if you have lilacs, rhodies, certain hydrangeas, things like that, now is not the time to prune those. I'll talk more about that later. But other things that where you're not worried about the blooms, or if they bloom on new wood, go ahead and prune them. Now's a great time for that. Number 12, remove any stakes from trees that you planted last year or especially previous years. If you planted any trees last year and you staked it, now is the time to go ahead and take that stake out. The tree has had time, it's had all winter to send out its new roots and get itself situated in its new home. Go ahead and take the stakes out. As a rule, this isn't a rule of thumb, this is not a general maybe you should do this. As a rule, plant stakes should never be attached to the tree for more than a year. So go ahead and take this opportunity now to remove any tree stakes that were installed. Number 13, divide or transplant perennials. If you have any perennials that need to be moved or divided or anything like that, you could use this time. Like, the best time for most plants to do this is in the fall, but this is a rare opportunity where we could totally do it in the early spring, late winter. The ground's not frozen. Dig them up and move them. Go for it. I still have an aster right over here that I really need to move out into the sun. I'm going to do that today. It's getting done. Number 14, do a soil test. Now is a great time to get an actual soil analysis to see what is going on in your dirt. So you could do those little plastic boxes that you can get at any nursery or garden supply store, or you could send off for an actual soil analysis. Currently, I like to use the My Soil tests, which will give you a full breakdown of everything that's going on in your dirt. You also tell them what the purpose of that bed is. So if it's lawn or ornamental or vegetables or whatever, then they make recommendations for what that soil needs based on its intended use, which is really cool. It's like between 30 and 40 bucks. Go ahead and just get that done. Number 15, if your soil is lacking something, go ahead and amend it right now. You can fertilize, you can top dress, you can add compost, you can do all kinds of stuff like that right now, and this actually gives it more time for those nutrients and all that good stuff to get down into the soil, down to your plant's roots. Number 16, early spring sprays. Okay, whether you're an organic gardener or you use all the chemicals, either way, there are certain sprays that should be done in early spring. I still need to spray copper for the shot hill fungus that's on my cherry tree, my plum tree, and my apricot. So I'm thinking of getting that done soon. It might still be a little early. I need to read the label before I do anything, which is the other thing. You should always read the label before applying anything anywhere. Follow the label directions because the label is the law. Number 17, last but not least, turn your compost. Why not? It's not frozen. It shouldn't be anyway, because compost should be warm all winter, but whatever. Anyway, point being, it's nice out. Go ahead and turn your compost, get that a good early start for the year, and just get that task done and out of the way. Okay, so that is 17 things you can do in your garden right now. Let's talk about the 5 things that you should still hold off on a little longer. Number 1 is raking your leaves. There are a lot of pollinators and other critters that tend to overwinter in your leaf litter. And so by raking up those leaves now, you're literally removing and possibly killing those pollinators and critters. So leave the leaves right where they fell for a little bit longer. And if you need to pull them back to uncover your bulbs, do so gently. Just pull it off to the side and then leave them there. Number 2 is your perennial cutback. Same thing, there's a lot of native bees that overwinter inside the pithy stems of perennials, so don't cut those down just yet. Wait until temperatures are on average about 50 degrees. That's the general rule of thumb. Every species is different. Every species has a different time, but that's in general when they start to emerge. So wait a little longer before you cut down those seed heads and old stems. And also the birds are still eating the seeds, so leave those up for the birds. Number 3, mulching. If you're planning on putting on a fresh layer of bark or wood chips or, God forbid, rock or anything else like that, hold off on that a little longer. Same reason. There are critters that are burrowed down into the ground, and if you pile a big old fresh layer of mulch on top, they're going to have a hard time getting out. So just hold off on that a little bit longer. It's not time to mulch yet. Number 4 is pruning trees and shrubs that bloom on old wood. So this is what I started to mention earlier. Things like rhododendrons, lilacs, some hydrangeas, some clematises, dogwoods, all kinds of plants, shrubs, and trees that bloom on last year's growth. If you were to prune those just for the sake of pruning, you might be cutting out this year's flowers. So don't prune those yet, except for dead, dying, and diseased branches. You can always take out that kind of growth. And number 5, is planting tender veggies and annuals. We are not out of the woods yet. It is still February, maybe March by the time I actually edit and post this, but it is still very early. Don't be planting your annuals and your tender veggies outside yet. It's not time. In my area, the rule of thumb is still Mother's Day weekend. Don't plant that kind of stuff outside until we know the hard frosts are done. And that's it, guys. That's my list. 17 things you can do in the garden right now and 5 things you should still avoid. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this was valuable to you. If it was, please tell me by hitting the like button. If you have any questions, leave them in a comment below. I always try to answer all of the questions and comments that are left for me. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe. What are you waiting for? You want more content like this in your video feed every week. So hit the subscribe button so you can follow me and get more good gardening content every week. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the garden.